Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Sophia, your host. With the recent passing of the Pope, many are reflecting on what it means to be a religious leader. For Catholics, the Pope was a spiritual guide, a global authority, and a symbol of peace and unity. But what about for Muslims? Is there someone that represents Islam in the same way? We're going to be looking at that now. Joining me is Dr. Shabir Ali. Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Pleasure to be on.
Dr. Shabir, how are Muslims responding to the passing of the Pope?
With sadness, definitely. The Pope meant a lot to the Catholics, as you mentioned, but more so to the people of the world in general, and to Muslims in particular. We can reflect back and see that he stood for peace, for justice. He defended the rights of the poor, the oppressed. He called for peace in Gaza. He called for the end and cessation of the war on Gaza. So there are many things that we will miss about him now that he has passed. He also entered into dialogue with Muslim leaders. For example, he co-wrote a paper with the Grand Mufti of Al-Azhar calling for end to extremism, and in that document they jointly defend the rights of women, the rights of the elderly, the rights of children, and so on. They go on and on about very humanitarian issues. So while we differ on theological issues, at least some core theological issues, we agree on so many things, and that document highlights this. He also visited Iraq and met with the leaders of the Shiite branch of Islam, and there too entered into points of mutual understanding. So there is a lot that he has done to promote peace and justice and fairness that he will be missed for. And as a person, Safia, he represented some good Muslim attributes, things that we would like to see in more people in the world.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shabir, the Pope has passed away, and now there is a process by which a new Pope will be chosen. So that raises a question for Muslims. Do we have any sort of religious leader in the same way as a Pope?
If you mean like at that level of authority,
yes.
Nuovi Cuor di Bosco Mulino Bianco. Spesso la vera tenerezza è quella nascosta.
But let's take it apart step by step. So there are two main followings of Muslims today that are known to most of our viewers. One is the mainstream, as we would say, that is the Sunni following that makes up about maybe 80% of the world's population of Muslims. And then there is the Shia following, which makes up about maybe 15% or so of the world's Muslims. So among the Sunnis, the idea has been that a leader needs to be elected by the people. So we are at the tail end of the federal elections in Canada. So we know the power of democracy and the suitability of picking a leader when that leader is designated by popular vote. So something like that is what is characteristic of the Sunni tradition and approach towards the leadership. So that means that when the person is selected, this is not a divine selection, this is a human selection. Of course, the person is naturally voted in or given allegiance to use traditional Islamic terms, given the bay'ah, to the pledge. Pledge of allegiance based on merit. It's not hereditary. It's because we know the person to be pious, devout, and knowledgeable of the religion, so they can be trusted to lead the global Sunni following. So that's in the Sunni tradition. So we had the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who was divinely guided. And then after him, we had caliphs, one after another, Abu Bakr, then Umar, then Uthman, then Ali, and caliphs after them who were not so good, and some who were good, such as Abdulaziz, Omar bin Abdulaziz, who is sometimes deemed the fifth of the rightly guided caliphs. We believe that they are chosen by humans, but for their good merit, and some of them were good, some of them not so good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the Shiite tradition, the understanding has been slightly different in that it is thought that while the Prophet, peace be upon him, was guided, So was Ali, who, as we mentioned already, was the third caliph in the Sunni tradition, that he was also somewhat divinely guided. And that divine guidance passes on through his descendants, one after another, up until in the, you can say, the majority Shiite following, though there are exceptions. There have been 12 such imams. In the Ismaili tradition, there are 7. They stopped at 7, and the Ithna Ashariya, or the 12ers, go on to 12, so-called 12ers because they go on to 12, 12 of the imams. Now, the 12th imam, lived 1,000 years ago, and it is thought that he went into hiding, and he will reappear sometime in the future. So he's referred to as the Mahdi, the guided one. So as a leader then of the people, when he was here on the ground and others before him in this line of 12ers, they were not only secular leaders and leading based on their natural human qualities, but they were leading based on divine guidance. So this is something mirroring the Catholic tradition, where the Pope, when he speaks ex cathedra, when he speaks out of office or as part of his mandate as Pope, then he is speaking under some sort of divine influence and guidance. Now, what happens after the 12th Imam has gone into hiding is that it is thought that there are some who might represent him, but they don't have the same level of guidance and inspiration that he had. So you might have those who are deemed to be Ayatollah, which means literally the sign of God. They're taken to be very authoritative persons, and of course the Grand Ayatollah will be even more authoritative than the not so Grand Ayatollah. But still, they don't have that level of guidance. So I think the short answer is that while the Shiite tradition has come similar to has been similar to the Pope, maybe even better, because the way in which the imams of the Shiite tradition were thought to be guided was perhaps to a higher degree than the Pope is thought to be divinely guided. But today the situation is such that we do not have such a unifying central leader, whether for good or for bad.
What are the benefits and disadvantages that you could see, Dr. Shabir, of having this sort of decentralized spiritual leadership?
Okay, so let's talk about the advantages first. So the advantages would naturally be that if you have such a centralized leader, then the Muslim community worldwide would be quite unified, and they would all be pursuing a single direction and so on. So there are a lot of benefits that can come out of that. We can see it so easily. There would be lots, the end to the infighting among Muslims. There will be, the pooling of resources. There will be the non-duplication of good efforts to bring about good in society and so on. Now, what are the downsides of it? Now, the downside primarily is that if we speak about a person as being divinely guided, now it was easy to see in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he was divinely guided. The Quran is a living proof today of the fact that he was divinely guided. So this is his miracle par excellence. And now after him, the leaders, even those who are considered to be divinely guided in some traditions, they do not seem to have demonstrated such you can say miraculous outputs that will give people confidence that they are really speaking out of divine guidance. So how would we know that the person is really divinely guided? Would we all feel compelled to follow a dictate just because we know that it comes from a person of that authority and claim without being convinced that this person is really divinely guided? So would we have that impetus to follow such a person? So that itself can become a decentralizing, or it can lead to anarchy. It can lead to so many problems in the long run, and of course it would remove much of the thinking and dynamism that is there. That is a result of the fact that we just choose our leader. So there are good and bad in both ways, but I feel that the way in which it has been left in the Sunni tradition, though it has many drawbacks, it has the great advantage that it allows for free thinking. It allows for people to develop in their own ways and communities to advance and grow and compete with each other.
Interesting conversation. Thank you for those insights, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.